Hi, in today's video, I am going to address all the questions that I have been getting in the course as well as on the YouTube channel about various food items and what food items are to be avoided. Before that, I'd like to let you know about an upcoming masterclass that I'm planning to do for people who would like to know why they're not able to be consistent with their diet and their health routines, and why they have temporary results before their flares come back or they fall off their routine, thereby triggering psoriasis or eczema. So more about that live masterclass at the end of the video. So if you want to know more, stick around. So coming back to the topic of various food items which are harmful for your skin. So I have a certain diet which I give out to my students who took part in the program that I had for 6 weeks. And I got various questions, and I keep getting questions here on the channel. I'll address the items one by one. So for example, the first one, most people believe that non-veg is something that is harmful for psoriasis or eczema, and harmful for the skin, and that leads to psoriasis and eczema. I understand where that belief comes from, because there's a lot of content and even many doctors in various parts of India which are more prone to vegetarian diets. They believe that it's not good. Like for example, when I was in Chennai, my Siddha doctor asked me to stay away from all that, stay away from non-veg, because the primary mode of eating, or maybe he was a vegetarian. Most people in Tamil Nadu, they're prone to vegetarian food, and they think that's a more pure way of eating, and therefore, if you don't want to have impurities in your blood, you should avoid impure food. That's the more or less the thinking. And in fact, even when I was consulting an Uriya Ayurvedic doctor, I had been asked to give up non-veg as a form of sacrifice, not because necessarily it caused the triggers. So that's more cultural. Now here in Calcutta, where fish and rice is a staple diet, my doctors will actually ask me, are you eating egg? Are you eating fish? So if I say no, then they're like, okay, so what's your protein source? So it varies from culture to culture. And yes, I do have non-veg, as in fish, chicken, mutton less, because anyway, that's something that's like red meat, such as pork, beef, and all these things are more difficult to digest. So therefore it's advisable not to have them as often, because anyone with with psoriasis has a compromised digestive system, which means that we're not able to digest food like compared to someone else who has a better digestive system, better gut microbiome. So we are asked to avoid those things. But that doesn't mean that on its own it's bad for skin. It's just not compatible for someone. Non-veg is more difficult to digest, especially red meat. So it's best to have it in lesser frequency, especially beef, pork, and mutton. But then fish, chicken, they're more alkaline, they're more cooling. They have more cool nature than heat producing nature, such as the other meats that I mentioned, and therefore they are not harmful. And so yeah, many people who are used to a non-veg diet, they often suffer from this guilt, thinking that it's their propensity, their attraction, their inability to control non-veg in their diet, which is leading to triggers. So I want to tell them that no, it's not that. There's something more, because there are some people who have all those and they don't have psoriasis, right? So it's not about a particular non-veg item. Okay, the next is potato. I know this is something many people in many diets, the members of my program, they were asking me about potato, because they know that for autoimmune you should avoid potato. And in fact, I was also on a similar diet. I used to follow Hannah Stilto's diet when I was abroad, and over there I also avoided white potato, even though I love it. I think I avoided that for 1.5 years, and I was eating sweet potatoes until I got sick of it, because as a Bengali, potato is a big part of our diet. Even we put it in our biryani, our fish, our everything. I could live on white potatoes. So I avoided that, and I was definitely missing it, but I was like, okay, anything for getting cured. And however, I must mention, with potatoes, I allow that. I eat that regularly. In the diet that I have come up with, potatoes are allowed, which is why people were asking me, are potatoes allowed? So you have to understand, with potatoes, the alkaloid, the thing which is difficult to digest, which is supposed to be a toxic chemical, let's say, present in the things like tomatoes and potatoes to ward off insects. It's like a natural insecticide, and therefore it protects the actual like potato or tomato from being eaten up by insects while they're growing. So naturally, someone with a compromised digestive system, such as someone with psoriasis, will not be able to digest those. That's why it's said best to avoid that. Now, if you peel off the skin of potatoes, which is how it's mostly consumed in Indian diet, then you can then consume those potatoes. And that's exactly how we consume potatoes in Indian food, right? We peel off the skin. So you have to understand why certain things are being asked to be eliminated, and then you have to also understand that everybody is different, and eventually you have a compromised digestive system. So you have to understand which are the things which are triggering you, and then you have to take it out from your diet and then reintroduce them back and monitor how your body is reacting. Because let's face it, staying away from your favorite foods, you can do it for some weeks, some months, some years, and then after a point you're going to fall off, which is exactly what happens. Because when, by the way, I said, yeah, you can have rice, and in fact, rice and vegetables are going to be your best friends. Someone asked me, can I have rice? I'm like, I mean, it didn't come to me then, but it seemed to me that most people nowadays are aware of diets, and there are various diets. But I feel the diets that most people are on, they have come from the Western world, right? So the Western world, typically they don't eat a lot of rice, and they don't eat a lot of like Indian style foods. I mean, so therefore their diet will probably not have rice. They'll probably have other things. So you have to also understand your cultural context. Just like I said, even within India, there are different cultural contexts. So you have to understand that where you fit in all this, and that's very important. So and you can only know that through trial and error. And of course, there are certain things which have to be eliminated. I speak about all that, and there's plenty of literature as to what are the things to be avoided. But then most people follow it for some time, and they fall off it simply because they are eliminating things which are very natural to them, such as rice for Indians, staple food of most Indians. And then there is a question about people. Someone asked me whether they can have, like, they should be having. I said, yeah, absolutely, have spices like turmeric and cumin and coriander. Absolutely have them. Make it like how you would have food at home. Just eliminate these things, and here is the reason why. So people assume that when you are on a diet for any reason whatsoever, be it your health or reducing weight or for any illness, you have to be on this boring, bland diet, and a diet which is almost like a punishment. So people think that it's not sustainable, and naturally so, because food is an important part of lives, and especially my life. I don't think I would have been able to survive on a strict diet if I wasn't actually having fun. So there's no reason why you shouldn't have spices in your food. Like, your food needs to have flavor. You can't have in fact, that's the reason why most people who lose weight by having steamed broccoli and steamed chicken and rice eventually put that weight back on, unless they're like in the modeling or the acting business. Even those people, they have, they put on and put off weight. So there's a reason why people who have such bland food eventually end up putting that weight back, and rather quickly too, because it's not sustainable. We're not supposed to live like that. We're not supposed to live a life sans enjoyment. Speaking of which, spices, and then yeah, many people ask me if they can have wheat. Definitely you can have wheat. Best to avoid maida, refined flour, simply because that's again difficult for the body to digest. And so we have to understand that someone with psoriasis, eczema, vitiligo, they have compromised digestive systems, which means that what someone else with a healthy gut will be able to digest, we will not be able to digest a very food. So we take away the complex things, the things which are difficult to digest, and then we introduce more simple food, alkaline food, which then is easy on our stomachs. Simply put it that way. But that doesn't mean you have to have bland, boring food, right? Because think about it, all the people who have bland, boring food are not necessarily the most healthy people, and the people who have the most, not so clean whatever that means. I don't believe in food being clean or dirty, but not so healthy food. They have whatever they can, get their hands on. Let's say they are working on the streets, they don't have the comfort of having food being prepared for them. They are probably, there are some people, I'm sure you know of someone who has doesn't put so much thought into the food, and they're healthy, relatively healthy. They don't have so many skin problems. Whereas I'm sure you could think of someone, and that was me, who had the cleanest, healthiest food and still had flares. So yes, food has an important part of it, which is why I even give it in the first place during the 6-week program that I made, and I still follow my own diet. But that's not everything. There is more to it. There is a reason why someone else can digest the very foods that you find difficult to digest. Why? Because they have a better digestive system. So the question here is to how to improve your digestive system, because then you can improve that and then be able to eat stuff that you otherwise wouldn't be able to enjoy. So yeah. And yeah, there's one more thing I wanted to mention. This was coming up often about cheat meals. So I understand the concept of cheat meals. I have done that myself, where I would say that, okay, Monday to Friday I'll be on a strict diet, and Saturday, Sunday I'll have a cheat day that I used to do when I was working and I was stressed out, and that was pretty much my life. Saturday, Sunday I'll eat, and Monday to Friday I'll be strict. Obviously it didn't help, because you only need to cheat when you are not having fun. Like, you're constantly thinking about Saturday, Sunday. Like, let's say that's your cheat day, or one day is your cheat day. You're constantly thinking about it. When will Sunday come? When will I get to cheat? You don't need to cheat if you are having fun. If you're having fun every day with your food, and there are ways to have it. In fact, I think most people struggle with this simply because they feel like, A, they have to have bland, boring food. It's as if it's some punishment. And secondly, they feel like, those fun stuff is out, like junk food is out means fun food is out. No, everyday food. And I have actually provided recipes inside my program, because I know that was very important for me. I wouldn't have been able to stick to this diet for almost 2 years now. And even before that, when I was on the Hannah Stilto diet, I don't think I would have been able to follow if I wasn't having desserts every day. By the way, people have this whole thing, desserts, sweets. People often ask me, I ask them, what is your cheat meal? Tell me. Then I get to know what is it that they're craving. So it's usually always chocolates and sweets. And I have sweets and chocolates every day. Not chocolates necessarily, because again, that's not very hydrating. That's quite drying on the skin. And when I gave up chocolate a long time ago, then when I had it, then I didn't like the taste anymore. Same for coffee. So I have 2 sweets every day, like 2 after lunch and 2 after dinner. I cannot think of my life without sweets. So I don't know why people think that they have to forego basic flavors, sweet, sour, taste, bitter, salty food, and just have bland food and boring food in order to cure themselves. That's not the truth at all. You just need to find the right food. You just need to find fun recipes, which I provide, or from anywhere else. You just need to find food recipes which adhere to your diet, and find creative ways to come around it. So for example, let's say Chinese, okay? So soya sauce is something that, most diets will say, no, I also don't have soya sauce. And Chinese I love, like many Indians, I love Chinese food. Most people across the globe, they love Chinese, and soya sauce is an inseparable part of Chinese food. So what do? You just don't add Chinese. You get the taste from something else. Maybe it's not as tasty, I don't know, but it makes me happy. Having noodles without the soya sauce, having chili chicken, like the white dish chili chicken. So yeah, so understand the concept behind why some foods are not are not suggested for someone with psoriasis or eczema. Just like with rice, why wouldn't you have rice? Rice is great because it has water in it. I mean, when you cook the rice, you get rice which has water in it, and therefore it is good for your skin. Anything which is hydrating is what you want to have. Similarly, coffee is dehydrating. In fact, like I mentioned, that after when I had stayed away from chocolate and coffee, the things which are very part of our lives, modern day lives, so it was difficult, especially for coffee, not so much for chocolates, because I'm having other sweets, and there are other ways you can have sweets. You can satisfy your sweet tooth. Chocolate isn't the only way, and especially if you know, if you're coming from India, or for that matter anywhere else, there are so many desserts outside of chocolate, right? Chocolate is only a new addition to Indian food. Before that, we had desserts, so there are so many options there. And so when you do the detox, and if you're doing the detox, food and mental, the right way, then what happens is that the foods that you thought you liked, you actually realize after a period of staying away from them, you don't like them. Either you will not enjoy having them, or when you have it, your body will react, and therefore you will want to stay away from it because you not feel comfortable having them. Case in point being coffee. I didn't have it for almost 2.5, 3 years, and then when I had it, I could feel my heart was beating faster. I could feel my mouth becoming dry. So that was not a nice feeling. And every time I think of having coffee, the one which has caffeine in it, like non-caffeinated, I've had a couple of times after that. Whenever I think of having coffee, I get reminded actually of that time when I felt my heart beating faster because I had coffee after a long time. So, and someone left this very nice comment on my channel, on one of the videos, saying that a healthy mind does not actually crave junk food. Think about all the times that you feel like having spicy food or chocolate or some sweets. It's usually because either you're bored or stressed or you're sad or there's some emotional. It's always emotional eating. Your body on its own does not crave food which is highly processed, highly fried, or being manufactured and stored in some fridge for God knows how long. Your body automatically does not crave it. Your mind craves it because you want some emotional, you want some comfort from the food. Your body doesn't want it. And how can you know that? Only once you are in your body. And I know, like, what are you talking about? But yeah, most of my program is really based on getting out of your mind and getting into your body. And that's typically why people struggle with being consistent. And that's also the point of this masterclass that I'm planning to do, is that why people struggle with being consistent with their diets and the health routines is because they're in the minds and they're not in their bodies. They don't know what their body wants. Because they, like I said, most people think like, I want chocolate, but do they really want chocolate? Do their body crave chocolate, or is the mind telling them that they want some comfort? So I know this is like I went from here to there, but let me think how I can explain that. Actually, that's why I'm doing the masterclass. So before that, let me make sure I have covered everything. Yeah. So then what do? For people who have this compromised digestive system, you have it because you have certain emotions, negative emotions specifically, which when they come into play, when you are sensing fear or stress or anger or sadness over something, then your body automatically shuts down because it perceives all these emotions as negative. So think about our ancestors who were going and hunting in the jungle for food. So when they would see a lion, they would automatically interpret that as danger. So either they would go into fight or flight. So either they have the option of fighting the lion and saving their lives, or they have the option of running away. In both the cases, their brain would, their heart would start beating faster. They would have more adrenaline to either run away or to fight the lion. They would have more oxygen being pumped to their limbs, so they can either fight or run away, and they would have more, their blood pressure would rise, their heartbeat would rise, so that they can engage in fight or flight. And in this time, all the non-essential functions such as your immune system, reproductive system, digestive system, all these are shut down because you don't need them at that moment. Your main priority was to save yourself, so that you can go back home and fend for your family, provide for your family. Now, all these systems, when you are going through a stress or you're feeling scared, all these systems automatically, your brain doesn't understand like whether you are stressed from your exam or your presentation or your life, or whether you are getting mad because you're standing in the traffic for too long, your body does not distinguish between these fears, the sources of fears. The body just understands the brain signal, which interprets all these things as danger. Now, obviously, you can be stressed out for an exam for 2 weeks, or an interview for a day or two, or a stressful presentation coming up, so you're worried about it for 2 weeks. Your body can sustain that. But if you are constantly, chronically stressed, then also understand your body is chronically shutting down the digestive system, the immune system, and reproductive system. So, and therefore you have chronic problems. So, I mean, most people say that, but it's natural to be stressed, it's natural to be angry. And I'm like, yeah, sure. If you're running a marathon, if you're doing a presentation, you have an exam, you have an interview, you have some situation that happens in life, then it's fine to be stressed. But people who have chronic health conditions, they're chronically stressed. That means they're always stressed. Someone is, they have to stand in a queue for too long, or they have to wait for something, they have to wait for a life situation which is not favorable, like let's say being laid off. They constantly, they have to look for a job for a year. They're chronically stressed for a year. What does that do to your system? It's good for 2 days, 2 hours, and 2 weeks. But if you're constantly stressed, everything, if you interpret that as stress, as agony, as anger, as world being unfair to you, life being unfair to you, everybody being mean to you, then your body really doesn't know. Body doesn't distinguish it from you being chased by a lion. Your body still sees it as reasons to shut down your immune system, your digestive system. And that is why when you are in this constant state of stress, then your body is not able to digest even the simplest of food. Whereas someone else, without these constant negative thought patterns and beliefs, and without this constant state of stress, is able to digest the very foods that are triggering you. And then you think that why is life being so unfair that that person can eat this. I actually felt that when I was a kid. Like I felt like I didn't have a good metabolism. I didn't eat much, and there were my friends who ate far more, my colleagues who ate far more quantities with far less attention to what they were eating. They could eat junk food and everything, and they would metabolize it. And I wouldn't, and I felt like it was very unfair. However, the good side of that was that I eventually inculcated discipline, because I was like, okay, fine, I don't have metabolism, so I'm going to work out. And I got that habit, so that's a good thing. And secondly, then I understood what was it that was affecting it. And I got rid of this constant state of stress, anger, negativity, and all that stuff through mental detox, which is what is the most effective way of getting rid of any skin condition, or any chronic condition for that matter. I talk about skin condition because I have suffered from them for many years, decades, I would say. Decades, yes. And I understood that it's not about a particular diet, because I had the cleanest diet and I couldn't keep my skin without flares for more than 3-4 months. And there were people in my program too who said the same thing, that they got on a diet, then they didn't get results, or a part of them believed that they would never get cured, because that's what most people believe, and doctors say it too, that it's not curable. I mean, allopathic doctors. And therefore they are like, okay, fine, we're not going to get cured, so what's the point of giving up nice foods and giving up social situations where others are eating and we're not eating? Why should we go through that? Or they've been on a diet, gotten results, and then they've fallen off, which has a lot to do with the fact that, like I mentioned, these negative thought patterns which are stored in our bodies, which prevent us from being consistent. And that can only, once you know what those reasons are behind you not being able to be consistent, then you can release them. And that's exactly what I'm going to be teaching inside the Life Masterclass, is for you to be able to understand what exactly is preventing you from being consistent with your health and diet, and then locate where exactly those negative thought patterns are stored in your body. Because how can you clean a room without knowing where the dirt is? So in order to be able to clean your body of all the negative thought patterns that have made you inconsistent and made you go off the bandwagon, make you fall off the routine, those thought patterns are stored somewhere in your body, and there is actually a way you can feel it. And this is actually something most people struggle with. I struggled with it for a longest time, and I realized that why I'm doing this masterclass now is because if you take this enroll for this 2 to 3 hour masterclass, then you can get started with the practice of being able to feel your body and locate it and then release it. So the whole point of this 2 to 3 hour masterclass is that you'll be able to walk away with knowing where exactly these thought patterns are in your body, or your money back. So that's my promise to you. If you don't find it, then you get your money back. So the whole point of this program is that people struggle with this. And this is very key to being able to heal yourself. In order to heal yourself, you have to feel your body. And people struggle with it simply because, like what I mentioned in the beginning of the video. So I thought this way, until I launch my full program in 2025 next year. So if you don't want to wait until then, if you've been on my wait list, or you've been on my email list, or you've been watching my videos, then you get to start your healing journey right away. You don't have to wait until 2025 when I release the program. I don't have the dates for that yet. So you can get started on the thing that most people struggle with, I struggled with, my founding members struggled with. You can get started with that and get practice with it, and then when eventually I'll launch the program again, you can sign up for that if you want to. Even if you don't, you get real relief now. And the good thing I have, and the best part is that you'll be able to use the investment towards this masterclass towards the full program. So the price of this program will be deducted from the price of the full program if you wish to enroll for the full program next year. So you've got nothing to lose. You can try this masterclass out, and it'll be live. So when I do the masterclass next, it's going to be at a very accessible price point, simply because I want people to be able to have access to this key tool and be able to practice it. And I don't think I'll ever be doing it at this price again, or it'll not be live. So you get the chance of having access to the techniques and the exercises that will help you feel your body and locate exactly why you're inconsistent, and be able to obviously reverse that once you realize where the dirt is. You can clear that, and then not only that, you'll also be able to ask me questions live, which I might not be doing later on. So I don't know how it's going to be, but this is what I have planned for now. So if you want to know more about the masterclass, the details about when it's going to come out, or when it's going to be done, and all the other stuff, then sign up for the wait list, the interest list. It's in the description box below. And yeah, so I might not be able to reply right away, but if you've signed up, then you will get to know the details soon. So let me see if I have covered everything that I wanted to say. Yeah, so I would like to say at the end is that the more quickly you're able to let go, recognize and let go of the negative thought patterns, which are subconscious, which you might not be aware of, but consciously, but it's there, the sooner you'll be able to heal. So I hope this helps, and I was able to answer all the questions about food and all those things. So it's not just about the food. You can have the world's best food and still not get cured, right? So there is something more to it, and that is being able to detox mentally. So that is the most effective way of getting cured long term. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.